Good morning, everybody. Nicholas Hamblin here. Today I want to show you what I do to sleep, the equipment that I use, and how I arrange it. Well, I only carry a few things. I try to keep it as light as possible. A ground sheet, a insulation pad, and a sleeping bag with a tarp for when it rains or I want shade. There are many arrangements. In fact, the tarp is another video entirely unto itself for another day. Anyway, so I thought I'd start with the top and work my way down as I'm packing everything into my pack to get out on trail today. For a pillow, I like to use my coat. If it's really cold, I'll wear my coat while I sleep and just won't have a pillow. But in general, I'll take my coat and I'll roll it middle, fold it in half, tucking the sleeves into the middle, rolling it down in kind of a half clamshell in one hand. And then I'll use a bag. In this case, it's the pump sack for my Therm-A-Rest sleeping pad, but I'll get to that in a few items. I'll stuff this into here, line it up with the bottom of the bag so that it has a nice seat. Squeeze out the air, but not too much. You just want it tight, not ridiculous. And then I will taco the top by folding it back over itself and then continuing the same on the other side. Kind of looks like a taco, if you use your imagination. Thanks, Navy. Anyway, then I'll take my Balaclava, which, I've been using one of these things for decades. They're great for insulation, for shade, for a towel. Heck, they have so many uses. I mean, for just a little sleeve of cloth, wow, what a great item. Anyway, now I have a pillowcase. There's my pillow for sleeping. But let's disassemble this and I'll get on to my next bit of gear here. So here, pack this away. Now, what I like to do, I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, this is my sleeping bag. It is made by Enlightened Equipment, a U.S. company which makes custom bags. They are amazing. This here is my favorite. It's my second one in 5 years, 6 years. They last forever. They have many different material selections. Their pricing is all based on size and temperature. So if you're a really small person and don't need it to be that warm, it'll be cheap. But if you're a big person and need it to be really cold, really warm for really cold environments, then it's going to cost you a lot more. But it's not what you think. It's not like Nemo or REI or all these other companies that are charging $1,000 a bag, $700 a bag. This thing is the Cadillac of their Revelation line, and I'll get to that in a minute. And it is a 950 goose down 20 degrees C, so 40 degree F, tall, regular wide sleeping bag with baffles, which cost me, I think, $500. It was $100 cheaper when I first bought my first one for $300, which was a just 10 degrees warmer bag. Now this here by Enlightened Equipment is essentially a single surface sleeping bag. It has zippers to close it up, but here it is, has a bung on the end, and pad straps on the bottom. But basically, it's just a down blanket, baffled down blanket. I chose 10D nylon on the inside because I don't need a lot of thickness or heavy, and I don't expect it to be in any kind of harsh environment or exposed to anything harsh. It's just me in there, or should be. And then on the outside, I chose 30D because, well, there's sticks and twigs and all kinds of things that you rub up against, and it's nice to have a little thicker material. Here's an example of when I accidentally got it stuck in my zipper trying to get my glider set up. I was way too excited to slow down, and just a little bit of tape over it and it seals it. Eventually I will go back and stitch it up, but for now I see no reason to dive into that project. So this is nice because for setup, you zip it up, or you can just use it as a regular down blanket. I like it when I'm on the beach, or it's a cold morning, or whenever. Just open it up as a blanket and just stay warm. But for sleep, it's nice. It's super comfortable, keeps me warm. You know, like a down pillow, you have to keep beating it so that the fluff goes and stays where you need it for that night. But that's also a good advantage because when it's really hot, I like to beat all the stuffing down into the foot box so that I don't have as much loft in the upper body sections. But inversely, I can take this and beat all the loft down and have less in my feet so I can, you know, curl it in while I'm, you know, huddled in for warmth. But wow, I've been through some cold storms where I've been up at the top of the Uinta Mountains in Utah and get 18 inches over the night. August snowstorm up at altitude. Yeah, no, I was perfectly warm. Just waited for the sun to come out around noon and was able to, you know, hike back down because the weather wasn't going to go anywhere nice anytime soon. Actually, I think I still have that video. One of these days I'll be able to get it stitched back into 360 and post it. So this has a couple clips on the sides of it that you can adjust. It has nice flat clips. To put it over your bag or your pad, I like to throw it out, stuff my head in, grab both of these, reach under, and you can either leave your bag tucked under the pad, or I like to leave it open on the top, which allows me a little more foot adjustment and wiggle room. But in the end, it is just so comfy. I sleep very well, never get cold, and have great dreams when I'm not being manipulated by directed energy weapons, which is, well, all the time. So that's another story. So I'll stuff this piece of gear away. I invite you to check out enlightenedequipment.com for more information. They have several other products. They make coats, jackets, sleeping bags, under quilts. They got an amazing set of equipment. You've got to check them out. Then I'll take this and stuff it into the very bottom of my pack. And there it's away. Okay, so my next piece of equipment, working my way down, is a Therm-A-Rest Neo Air X-Lite. This thing is ridiculously comfy at 2 inches thick. Weighs about weighs nothing. I mean, maybe I don't even have a guess of how nothing it weighs. 28 grams? I don't remember. It's ridiculously light. It's a baffled cell construction with really heavy material. I've seen this material in those inflatable door shims. And I have a hard time causing any damage to this thing. Not that I'm trying. These things are very robust. They're always in the ground and poking around and have survived needles, thistles, all kinds of stuff. In the past, I've had a few that get a slow leak just due to oops. And it's so thick that it takes forever for you to fall to the ground before you even notice that your pad's low. And is easy enough with this large valve that they have to just, one-way valve, to just throw a little more air in there until you can get, a couple weeks or it gets too bad, or heaven forbid, patch it and move on. These things are just so comfy. This one, I like it because it's a little shorter than the full-size regular. Most of the time I go with the short, which is just a hip pad, but those are really hard to find and have just gone with the version that's a lot easier. This is nice to have a long one because it supports your hips or supports your ankles in comparison to your hips, so that when you're laying down, where your hips are is level to where your feet are. For example, let's set this up like it was the short one. Just for example, your hips go about here if it's the short one, and the head would be about yay long. And you see that your knees and ankles go off the end. Now, it's not a big deal. In fact, this isn't uncomfortable. However, after long days hiking and everything else, you may like something that's a little more supportive, head to toe. And obviously in really cold or colder environments, it's nice to have every bit of you off the ground instead of having a small part that's still supported directly on ground, even if it is only separated by a piece of nylon. So this is the Therm-A-Rest Neo Air X-Lite. It's easy to deflate. And I'll just let that do its thing. So next we have the Eagle's Nest Outfitters Hexatarp, or ProFly tarp. This is a medium-sized tarp shaped like a hexagon. So instead of a square, the ends are triangled out. As you can see, if I hold this up vertically, this is actually the cord of straight. And then this here comes out more, which is great because on the end of the tarp, it gives you just that little bit more for drip, little bit more for room. I like tarps over tents because they give you, 7 to 10 square feet of dry if you pitch it right. Again, pitching a tarp is a whole additional video. But this thing has carried me through so much. I think I replace them every couple years just because they do wear out and you do get holes and it does start to drip. The Ridgeline top has a nice wide seam sealer tape that keeps the Ridgeline nice and clean. They have tapered corners and they have added these little Velcro holders so that you can hold your line or other bundles of guy wire there. It comes with guy lines and ropes and fasteners, but I throw those out and use my own lines, Dyneema off of old gliders. Let's see here. So to fold this, so that it is small, and that's one of the biggest or primary advantages to a tarp, is that they do compact extreme and don't weigh a lot, but they still will cover a wide variety of scenarios, from rain to sun to shade for your equipment. Sometimes I'll take this out when I'm on the beach and it's a real hot day, just so that my glider has something covering it. Now to fold this, I put it in half and then again in half widthwise. use my chin to hold and approximate the center. And flick it out. Then do is grab my, oh, I almost left these out. These are the tent stakes and guy lines that I use for my tarp. In brief, it's one long line with a stake on the end of it for my ridge line, and then it's 4 separate stakes with a shorter line to guy out the corners. I use, see if I can get my extra one here. I know it's one of these pegs. A nail stake, I'll just do it like a nail stake from Vargo Titanium. They're, you know, I pounded them in rocky, craggy ground. They've even held in sandy ground. These things are great. They're not the end-all be-all, but they are made of titanium and aren't that expensive. I think they're $5 a piece. A pack of 5 or 6 is 20 bucks, 20-something bucks, so it's not unknowable price-wise. I find that it does have a distinct advantage, if no other reason being a simple nail peg, but titanium, extremely brittle, or not brittle, but extremely strong tensile material for pounding. So anyway, back to this. So again, the tarp is going to be another video, but so I'll take this and I'll fold it into thirds. Approximately, I mean, maybe even a little wider than a third, you know, fold it in thirds but leave a gap. And then I'll roll the hanging materials in the middle of it. It doesn't have to be a tight roll. In fact, it's nice if it has a little side squish for while it's packed instead of a, you know, rock solid perfection of folding mass. I take this and wind it around a few times. Once around my thumb, grab it again, squish your thumb under there. Do that a couple of times and it creates a little friction hitch in there for it to hold it from unraveling. Now, then I layer it again with my sleeping pad. So this, you know, I like to, keeping the valve protected from any foreign debris that might foul it later. I like to give it a fold in half. Okay. Running my hand down the middle to reinforce the crease in the middle, so it does you know, more of a flat roll. I'll take the tarp and while guiding the material into the roll, just roll it up and squeeze out all the extra air. Close the valves. And I like to stuff it in the pump sack for the NeoAir, like this. Roll it up. Oops, wrong side. Roll it up, put it in the pack. And I like to go sleeping bag, coat, bedroll, and then the rest of the gear. It seems to work well by putting the lightest stuff at the bottom and that allowing you to tailor where the heavier stuff on top goes so that it's not packed too high, but it's also not packed lumped in the bottom of the pack. So lastly, I have my ground layman, which is just a nylon footprint off a one-man tent. And it's just about a little less than 3 feet wide, about 8 feet long. More than enough room to just be off the ground. Lastly, I like to take my rain cover and put it upside or backwards over my pack so that it has not only a shell to protect it, while still giving me easy access in and out of the pack, but it also gives me a place to, stick stuff. Instead of having it randomly laying around, I can throw it in the back side, in the side, or underneath here around the helmet, and have a nice place to keep everything wrangled into one thing. I hope this was helpful for y'all. I really love sharing my equipment with you and how I survive. I really appreciate all the comments and the support I get from you guys. Hang in there, my friends. I love you all. Have a great day.